Hello, and let's talk about Delhi. I'm Pragya. A week ago, communal violence broke out in the national capital. Have things gone back to normal? Here's what's really happening. In Shiv Vihar, the epicenter, Muslims who had fled have not returned to their homes. The Hindus, however, are reportedly coming back. From the drains that flow through the affected areas of northeast Delhi, bodies of more victims are being fished out. The death toll is 38 from GTB Hospital, 3 from Lok Nayak Hospital, 1 from Jag Pravesh Chandra Hospital, and 4 from Ram Manohar Lohia. That adds up to 46. The BJP's Kapil Mishra, who delivered hate speeches just before the violence, gathered at Jantar Mantar again on Saturday for a peace march. Slogans of Jai Shri Ram and Bharat Mata Ki Jai were shouted here, once again threatening to inflame people. Right after, there was a flurry of rumours in the capital. The Delhi police on Sunday assessed the situation as completely normal and peaceful, despite reports of tensions in Southeast and West Delhi. These reports were circulated mostly on social media. The police have appealed for calm and assured of strict action against rumour mongers. The Delhi High Court had granted the centre 4 weeks to file a counter-affidavit to the plea filed by activists Harsh Mandar and Farah Naqvi, who were seeking FIRs against BJP leaders Kapil Mishra, Anurag Thakur, Parvesh Verma, Abhay Verma and others over their hate speeches. Rajya Sabha was adjourned till 2 p.m. on Monday after the opposition vociferously protested the communal violence. The government slept while Delhi burned, is what they were saying. We have with us Pranita from NewsClick, who has recently been to some of these areas. She has been to Chaman Park, which is very close to Shiv Vihar, and Brijpuri. She has met people who fled their homes in Shiv Vihar. She also met Hindus in Noor-e-Ilahi area. So, Pranita, the biggest thing is the return of people to the places where they used to live. What is the situation that you saw when you went there?
So as of now, the return is not in the picture. Even the thought of returning to their homes has obviously not crossed their minds. When they got the opportunity in the middle of the violence, on Tuesday they fled their homes when houses and shops were being burnt, and they have taken refuge in Chaman Park area, which is again a Muslim majority locality, where the locals are pooling their resources to make arrangements for their accommodation, for their food. They are giving them clothes and everything. And obviously, the atmosphere of hatred was so intense back there that while even talking about how they fled and what they witnessed before they fled, they cannot think about going back to their own homes or going back to their own shops, and everything is burnt. We also went to Shiv Vihar and we actually looked at what has happened to the shops and the homes, and you can see the selective targeting there as well, because a shop owned by Manish is intact, but a house next to it which has like something in Arabic script or something which basically signifies it belonged to a Muslim has been burned down, set ablaze and everything, and there's nothing to go back to.
Do the locals acknowledge that this is a situation? Do they acknowledge that the Muslim households or shops were targeted in that sense?
They do. So the families that have stayed back in Shiv Vihar are mainly Hindus, and when we spoke to them, they were getting defensive, and they did say the violence, is always perpetrated by the other side. We are the peaceful community and everything. Although they said that for all these years, situation has been normal here. After CAA, one particular person that we spoke to said that we don't know what has happened. It just started feeling like this place is turning into Pakistan. So there's animosity, and when we asked them that if there has been any attempt at reconciliation after the violence by either of the community, the answer was plainly no. The residents there's hatred, very much hatred. So they're not
it's
really
a very polarized situation.
It's a polarized situation.
And just a day later, you found that the BJP leaders were again marching on the streets, and again the same provocative slogans are being raised. Did you also encounter people who were influenced by these kind of rumors? Was there a fixed narrative which people were sort of sticking to?
So along with this narrative that the other side is the one which always perpetrates violence and which always provokes riots, this onus they have put also on the politicians, because even the Hindu community members that we spoke to, they were saying that this is on the politicians, and their sons are not dying and it's our sons who are dying. So it's their mistake. So this peace march, I don't think any of the any of the members of the riot affected areas, for them it's of no significance, and people know who are the perpetrators, or people know where all of this had started, even though they have picked sides. So this peace march is not going to make any difference to their opinions and how they feel about the situation.
Okay, thanks a lot, Vanita. Now let's take a look at a brief video from Karawan-e-Mohabbat on Shaheen Bagh, where the peaceful protests against the amended citizenship law are still going on. Take a look.
Sound check.
मोदी जी को बुला रहा है, क्यों नहीं आ रहा है?
Ready?
मोदी जी को तो हम लोग 2 महीने से बुला रहे हैं, बट वो हमारी बात नहीं सुन रहे हैं, इसलिए आज अलग तरीके से हम लोग सॉन्ग गा करके उनको गिफ्ट दे करके टेडी बियर बुलाने की कोशिश की है। मोदी जी हमें धर्म के आधार पर मत बांटिए। ये हमारा जो संविधान है हमें एक जोड़ के रखता है। हम भी इसी देश के नागरिक हैं, देश पे मर मिटने वाले लोग हैं, तो हमें धर्म के नाम पे मत बांटिए। मोदी जी प्लीज एनआरसी सीए एमपीआर प्लीज रद्द कर दो। प्यार का एक कदम हमने बढ़ाया मोदी जी, आप भी एक कदम बढ़ा के देखिए। जो एकता में बल है वो तोड़ने में बल नहीं है मोदी जी। बस प्यार का यही संदेश दे रहा है, प्लीज आप हम दे रहे हैं, आप भी हमें दे दो प्लीज। ये रद्द कर दो ना, कल ही रद्द कर दो प्लीज, कल ही रद्द कर दो।
पड़ेगा और यो काला कानून अपना वापस लेना पड़ेगा। यो नहीं चलने का, संविधान की वजह से लड़ाई हो रही है, यो वैसे लड़ाई हम नहीं लड़ रहे हैं।
We move to an update on coronavirus. COVID-19 is spreading fast around the world. We have with us Prabir Purkayas, Editor-in-Chief of NewsClick, on the implications of the growing detection numbers and how countries are tackling this. COVID-19 is not proving easy to control and it is spreading fast. Prabir, how are countries going to deal with this?
Well, if we have a look at the global map, then what we will see is that we have 3 now new centers which are acting as new epicenters of the epidemic. If you see China, the numbers are still coming down. There is a temporary expansion as they lift the quarantine, the lockdowns, people return to the factories. There's a small uptick over there, but the numbers are nothing compared to what we are now tending to see in rest of the world. So the rest of the world, new infections outnumber China completely. We have Korea, which has already outstripped China in terms of new infections. And if the latest figures, if you look at the latest figures, which is in the region of 586 as of yesterday. We don't really have the final numbers as of today from WHO. If you look at Italy, which had lower figures yesterday as per WHO 240, but today the reports indicate the numbers of cost again have gone 500 or so. So you are really seeing very large numbers, and you are also seeing similar numbers from Iran. What is important in all of this is that the number of deaths in some of these places also look proportionately very high, which means that probably as the screening extends to the population, that we are likely to see many more quote-unquote hidden cases getting uncovered. People who are not very sick, but who have some cough, cold, don't really see them as very sick people, not pneumonia, that they would be uncovered also as actually COVID-19 cases. So this is one set of things. And if you see also the geographical spread, Europe, Italy is acting as epicenter. You see Germany, France, England, all of these getting now cases from travel back and forth from Italy. You have similarly Iran as acting also as a center, but already there are other cases also which were there in West Asia. So that is acting as a center. And South Korea, of course, has really exploded. Now, all of this indicates that there is now the spread going to take place across the globe, because these three centers are three different centers. Right. And of course, we have, as you know, as we talk, India has also registered 2 new cases of COVID-19, one in Delhi, one in place of Telangana. So we also have 2 new cases here after the initial 3 cases, which all came back from China, from Wuhan. So this is the other part of it that we see. So we have to say, WHO has said this 3 days back, it's very high. The possibility of a pandemic is now very high. I think we are going to see very soon the WHO declare really a pandemic. Other issue that we need to register is the United States. Now, right. It's a very interesting case. The US shows there are 88 cases, but they don't seem to find very many new cases. Now, let's take a look back at why the US numbers look low. Yesterday, reports came that having tested people who have been tested positive, they find that perhaps this infection has been there for last 5 to 6 weeks in Washington state.
Right.
That means this has been an ongoing infection which has been there amongst the people. So why has it not been uncovered till now? Because after all, United States is a very advanced country, has a lot of resources. So what prevented this being uncovered earlier? Why is it suddenly coming out now that there is one nursing home for old people? More than 50 cases have been detected from there alone. And these don't reflect in the 88 numbers because these are only confirmed cases from testing. So it brings down to what was the testing regime like in the US? How many people did they test? And if you see the figures, they're quite alarming, because United States was unable to test, as of 2 days back, more than 445 cases in the whole of United States. As against today, the Koreans also testing 10,000 people per day.
10,000
10,000
versus
per
400.
day,
Okay.
plus 445 in the last 1.5 months, which is a lot of time. Then China, we don't even compare. In one province alone, Guangzhou, the Chinese tested 320,000 people over a 20-day period, and they uncovered 400 cases. So as one of the experts, epidemiologists have said, that unless you test, wide testing among the population, how do you discover infections? Because they look like it could be flu, it could be pneumonia, what is called atypical pneumonia.
Right.
So how do you even find out whether people are affected or not unless you test?
Yes.
So why did the testing not take place in the United States? Very simple. CDC put out a test kit about 5 weeks back, and which proved to be faulty. And it didn't allow any other test kits to be used till about 3 days back. Now they have said, okay, all laboratories do their own tests. Even certain hospitals which are advanced can do their own tests. So the testing kits put out by CDC failed. Now, WHO put out test kits, which are very large in number now. They're producing in numbers, and they also told countries how to produce test kits. So every country could do it, but why is it that one of the most advanced countries in on the globe failed? It's simple. That CDC decided on its own test kit, which is different from WHO's, which is going to test for many more viruses, just the COVID-19. As a consequence, the test kits proved ineffective, provided false positives, and so on. And the consequence is the entire test kit system really failed. Now, of course, CDC has accepted that you can do partial testing, don't test for any other viruses, use it only for testing COVID-19 cases. And also, they have now given directions that all the other rules that applied earlier do not apply. So they have really relaxed the fundamental rules of the game. But now if we really look at the testing on a scale that it needs, how will they ramp up? Where the test will take place, we do not know. The reality is, now it seems there could be anything just in Washington state alone, and the Seattle suburb is where these problems have been uncovered. There could be anything between a couple of hundred to 1,500 people that could be there from just this one location. Right. Other locations also, cases are surfacing now. So I think the US has a lot of hidden coronavirus cases which will be uncovered only when systematic testing is done on a large scale. Brings me back to the Indian issue.
Yes. Is India prepared?
Well, it's a good question. Let's face it. We have very few places which can test for COVID-19. Are we producing test kits ourselves? Are we producing it in numbers we'll be required to do? After all, we have a very large population. I think this is all up in the sky. We don't know. As of date, is the Indian Health Ministry prepared? Big question. Okay.
We don't know.
How many? It is possible for us to test people who are coming back from China. Now that people are coming back from Italy, are coming back from Iran, could be coming back from West Asia, could be coming back from South Korea. Can we test all of them? Huge question. Now the coronavirus spreading to France, Germany, UK. Can we test for people coming back from that? Bigger question. So what is the requirement is not testing people who are coming back, but test the general population. And we have to now prepare ourselves for being able to test multiple locations, multiple laboratories, and certainly able to test on the scale of Korea, which is 10,000 a day. Don't forget, the Korean population is much smaller than India's.
Right.
So we really require much larger testing scale. Are we ready for it? Doesn't look so at the moment. I hope we get ready over the next 10-15 days, because it is futile now to think that COVID-19 is going to stop at the borders. The only faint hope we have, this is a faint hope, is it temperature dependent? Will the coming warm weather, as the winter goes away, will it also see, like influenza, will it also see COVID-19 reduce? We don't know, because transmission of this virus, the pathways, its temperature dependence, all of these are the big unknown. So we really have no way to talk about this at the moment. But yes, if you see the Indian state, I think we are very closely following on the path of Big Brother Trump. And we are also following the US policies of thinking it will somehow go away.
Right.
And all we need to do, the US did this consistently, blame China. They are bad. They did this. They didn't do that. Now it seems everybody is facing a similar problem. And what China had done after the 1 week, 2 weeks, they geared up, as we can see in the US. After 5 weeks, they hadn't geared up. So the Chinese had really geared up after first 10 days, and it was completely unknown virus at that point of time.
Right.
And I'm not sure the rest of the world is prepared, and I'm reasonably sure that the United States is really not prepared, and to me, doesn't look India is very well prepared either.
All right, Prabir. We move now to Afghanistan. The United States and Taliban have signed a peace deal ending 18 years of conflict in Afghanistan. India has said that it is not surprised by the deal which was signed in Doha over the weekend. The deal paves the way out of Afghanistan for the United States after negotiations that lasted for over a year. Prabir, right after the deal was signed, the Afghan president said that the 5,000 Taliban prisoners will not be released, although this is part of the deal. Why do you think, what triggered this sudden announcement?
You see, one of the problems of this deal was that it was really negotiated between the Taliban and the United States. But these prisoners are really Afghan, the current government, Ghani government's as of date, prisoners, because they are being held with the Afghan government. Now, Afghan government will not last beyond 2 to 3 years if the United States really withdraws. But at the same time, having put this much of stake in the Afghan government, in the Afghan parties, so to say, it's difficult for US to cut its losses and run away. So US has to see this peace process through. Unfortunately, they did not bring the Afghan government into the picture early enough. Somehow they managed to agree with Afghan government that later on the talks would continue. Ghani government has said, okay, let us talk. Only then we will agree. Unless we are a party, how can the American government agree to release prisoners who are being held by us? So it's really bringing Afghan government late into the talks and not clinching all these issues, which meant that one of the promises US has made regarding prisoners is something that they don't really have a legal or physical right to negotiate because they're not being held by the Americans.
Right.
So I think that is the issue Ghani is raising. I also believe that he doesn't have all that leverage because without the US support, he knows his government will not last. So therefore, he's also looking at what is the best deal he can get out of the deal in the negotiations. So I would say this is a strong opening, shall we say, gambit that he has played, that I now need to be in the negotiation. Now I'm going to be in the table, and at least without my consent, it's also a question of face. Without my face being there, you cannot commit in my behalf. So I think that's really the way it's going.
Okay, Prabir, now where is India in all these discussions about Afghanistan? We seem to be completely on the back foot and almost vanished from the scene a long time back.
Well, as I have always said about India and Afghanistan, you can be a player in Afghanistan provided you have a border, or you have a friend who has border with Afghanistan, and you collaborate with such a party or such a partner to have a role at all in Afghanistan. We parachuted into Afghanistan through the US. We don't have any independent access except that, once upon a time the Afghans and the South Asia, India, what is India, Pakistan now, there was a relationship. We have seen a long history of that relationship, but nevertheless, the reality is we have no border. So unless we have an entry, somebody gives us an entry, we don't really have a role over there. So we spent money, we have put various of our projects over there, we have put people over there to complete these projects, but all of it has been as a part of the American initiative in Afghanistan. And once they are in the mode of withdrawal, they really see Pakistan as a facilitator, and India at best would be a spoiler, but it cannot play any role except that. So therefore, the issue is that no country sees India as really a major partner in the peace process. They are hoping India doesn't play the role of a spoiler, and all of us should play that role because Afghanistan needs every country in that region, including India, to really support the Taliban, United States, Afghan government, the Umar Abdullah, the northern faction as it is called, all of this northern coalition, all of them to come to the peace table, and hopefully US goes away. So all of these factions in Afghanistan can work out the peace process because they have discovered war doesn't benefit anybody. So if that realization is there, can they sit together and work out peace, and can Pakistan and others stop backing one side against the other and realize a peaceful Afghanistan is in the interest of every country in the region, including India. we should not look upon it as a zero-sum game. This Pakistan game, India's loss. We should really look upon it as a gain for everybody. And that is the cooperative strategic vision which has to come in the world, particularly in such regions, and not look at it as purely a zero-sum game.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for that, Prabir. And that's all we have in today's episode of Let's Talk. Catch us live on Monday to Friday at 3 p.m. Thank you for watching.